welcome to Grit with Wisdom. This is the podcast that delves deep into the inner psyche of mountain bikers from all aspects of our sport in order to discover the tools and the tactics that can help us have more fun out on the trails more often. Our aim here is to help you understand what it takes to push our own personal boundaries in the sport we love from a mental and emotional perspective. Hello everyone, we're back for another Voice of the Athletes episode up here at Crankworx Whistler. Today's Tuesday, so today we've got the Garbanzo DH, the Adaptive DH, as well as a bunch of other fun events happening. We're going to go out and speak to as many athletes as possible. Fantastic, guys. I'm here with Jayden after what was the practice round now of the Adaptive DH?
Yeah, a little rerun, Tippie downhill,
You've got a little bit of downtime and then you're going to head back out there this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm just going to shoot back to work for a few hours. I'm meant to be there now. Go to work, come back down, run the course, see how we go. Yeah.
I love it, brother. And you still got time for a couple of quick questions. That's awesome. We'll get into it. What's your number one tip from a mental perspective of reaching your version of high performance?
Yeah, well, it's just like being comfortable. I find I operate best when I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing. Like mountain biking is just absolutely risk versus reward, and it's like a huge mental battle, especially after like most of the people here have had spinal cord injuries, so racing the adaptive category. So like, you know, that's always playing in the back of your head, like, oh, I don't want to, wreck myself again. So it's like, risk versus reward. Just like take it slow, think through what you're doing, and be in a good headspace, and just do your best. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a really cool insight there. I like that answer.
Yeah.
What role does visualization play in your pre-race preparation?
It has a massive role. So I come from a bit of like a ski racing background. I do a lot of para ski racing as well, and like that's a massive part of what we do. Like trying to I'm still very much junior at it, but you want to know where you're going. You want to know, where you're turning in early, and you want to be able to see it before you do it. So having like a rerun, memorizing as much of the track as you can is really important when you're rolling into it. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. What's the most creative way you've ever crashed in the Whistler Bike Park?
Most of the ones I do are at slow speed when I'm going to stop. I've done a few good flips. The most creative way is probably just one time I was finishing a course preview for the Fat Wednesday series, and I just did a big skid to finish and caught a rock and ended up right on my lid and cut my elbow open pretty good. But crashing's part of racing. Yeah.
Totally. Touch wood, it doesn't happen today though.
Touch wood, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic, man. Thanks so much for your time,
and
good luck this afternoon.
Cheers, thank you so much, guys.
I'm here with Amanda, who's participating today in the Adaptive DH. A couple of short questions, Amanda. We'll start with, what's your number one tip from a mental perspective to perform at your best?
Probably just smooth as fast and fast as smooth. The smoother you can be, don't try and give it your all. Well, give it your all, but don't try and push things, because it's just, you're going to make mistakes, and it's better to not do that.
Yeah, wise advice. I like that. Find the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'm curious, what role does visualization play in your pre-race preparation?
Oh, I'm very bad at that. Okay. Yesterday I went into the races completely blind, so that was great. Today I definitely had some more, pre-runs, so that made it way better, so I could at least know what was coming forward ahead of time. And yeah, that's kind of all I do is if I've been on the trail, then I'm more comfortable because I know I can make it down, and that's really the big thing.
Yeah, fantastic. That must have been wild riding it blind yesterday.
Yeah.
Bit of a curveball question here. If you could create a brand new discipline of mountain bike racing, what would it look like and why?
Oh, that's a hard one.
You on the spot here.
I don't know. I think just not discipline. Oh, I don't know. I love tech, so anything tech oriented is kind of for me. But kind of just having everyone together is even more fun, because then you can just have all different types of bikes all competing against each other. It's fun getting everyone together because we're all here for the same thing.
Totally, all here to have fun on mountain bikes. Yeah, I love that. That sounds awesome. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm here with Alex from 𝗬𝗾𝗊𝗆, renowned trail builder. Alex is racing the Adaptive DH here today. Got a couple of quick questions for him. Alex, what's your number one tip to prepare mentally for a race like the Adaptive DH?
For yesterday's race, a bit more flow. You could kind of just be physical and make the turns, be fine. Tech races, obviously, it's just more tactic. Play your cards right. Remember when to pedal and when to slow down, and When to take breaks. This was actually a fairly long track for us. And, plan your breaks and just be organized before it starts.
Totally, man. Yeah, wise advice. It must be so hard to race such a long course and to be able to perform at your best all the way down rather than just the first 500 meters.
Yeah, I think it's more admitting that you won't. Just like there's going to be spots where you're going to dog it, and choosing to dog it in the right spots is how you win.
I like it.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Well, excited to see how that goes. I'm curious, if you do any visualization before you race, what role does that play in your performance, and how does that look for you?
Yeah, I mean, I come from a bit of a ski racing background, where that's pretty big to visualize and check everything out, count your turns and all this. I don't think I'm smart enough for that. So I pick a few spots that are key. I picked one spot on the last set of berms before Monkey Hands, where I knew that I'd jump a roller, and if I ended up too far right, I'd hit a tree. And there's kind of a washed out berm that doesn't help you get that way. So I remember that spot. And then there's a couple sections further up that I just kind of took note of. And I had a plan for Monkey Hands, but then they kind of kept one of the braids open for the race, which ended up being a faster line than my plan on Monkey Hands. So that's fine.
I like that tactic though. Think of some of the hardest bits where you're going to get hung up and keep those in mind rather than waste mental space on trying to memorize the whole course.
Yeah, I mean, you'll lose time sitting down and chilling out, but you'll lose more time if you fall over. So.
Totally. Speaking of that, a bit of a funny one here. What's the most creative way you've ever crashed in the Whistler Bike Park?
Ooh, I lost I was running only a front brake. This was years and years ago. And there's a little step down after the box on Crank It Up. My front brake pad came out, hit me in the goggles. And that's when I knew I was out of brakes. And I made it 2 more turns before I had to sail it into the bush on the left. And it was,
holy crap, man, that is wild.
Almost well, but it was pretty funny to have a whole brake pad come out.
Lucky you were wearing goggles, it would have been even worse.
It was neat. Yeah, that's probably the unique one I had.
Awesome, man. That's the best story we've had yet. Last question here. If you could create a brand new discipline of mountain bike racing, what would it be and why?
Brand new discipline, mountain bike racing. Oh, man.
You on the spot here.
I don't think I would.
It's perfect as it is.
I'm quite happy with it. Yeah, I mean, I'm psyched to see the adaptive riding growing and growing, and seeing that that field can move into different parts of what's already there is wicked. I don't think I would change too much of it. There's people that are they've got full-time jobs riding lines that they've built themselves, and that's fun. And people that ride fast and they get paid to do that, and that's cool. I think it's doing well.
Yeah, man, I love that attitude. It's awesome to see where we're at, eh?
Yeah, it's all right.
Fantastic. Well, man, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us today. Awesome answers. Yeah. Fantastic. We're here in the village with Aaron Gwin. Can ask him a few quick questions before we get into a longer form interview in a couple of weeks. Aaron, curious, what's your number one tip from a mental perspective for preparing for a race like the races we've got going on today?
I think for me, mentally, preparation is everything. So if I feel fit coming in, I've done everything to be as fit as I can, and my bike setup's good, then I feel pretty good. So I think for me, a lot of confidence just comes in knowing I'm prepared when I get to where I want to go.
Yeah, fantastic. So actually doing the work, knowing that. Curious, what role does visualization play in your pre-race prep?
Definitely plays a part. I'm very picky with my line selection and stuff, especially on World Cup downhill tracks. So I kind of slow down and practice a bit. I try to figure out every little line I want to be in, and so that I can do a top to bottom run in my head and be on the exact inch of track I want to be on, and I know what that piece of track looks like all the way down. So then when I'm warming up for my race run at the top of the hill, I'll usually do some top to bottom runs in my head and kind of visualize every single line, exactly what I want to do, where my shift points are. So then when you finally get to the race run, you're just kind of going through the motion and putting the pieces together.
Man, it's such a dialed process, and it shows.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you're doing that visualization, if you're riding a 7-minute racetrack, does that visualization, do you take 7 minutes? Do you run it in real time?
It depends. Usually our tracks are 2.5 to 4.5 minutes, so not crazy long. I don't try to pay attention to like do it in the exact time I'm gonna do it. I just want to be able to picture it all the way down, top to bottom, kind of in my head, so that when I get there, I'm not surprised by anything. And then I find it kind of keeps my brain occupied in the race run, so it doesn't wander and start thinking about the race or about the result, or like it's just focused on the track, hitting my lines, and kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and then cross the finish line, and then you'll let that tell you how fast you went.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Thanks for the insight there. That's great. One last question here. What's the most creative way you've ever crashed in the Whistler Bike Park?
The most creative way. Dude, thankfully, and I don't know that I want to say this because I'm going to ride a bunch more today, but I've only ever ridden here 3 or 4 days, and I don't think I've ever had a crash here. So we're going to try to keep that streak alive today.
Good for you. Run over there and touch that wood. Dude, thanks so much for the time today.
Thanks, guys.
I'm curious, preparing for a race like this, what's your number one tip to prepare from a mental perspective?
I think for a race like Garbo, like it is pretty tough. Like it just, it's a tough track and it's really long. So just having fun, trying to like keep it light and happy is always really good. And just, I think for this track, if you can like have fun and kind of shred and just like feel sick, you're going to do really well. So it's probably important. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I love that answer. Go back to the why.
Yeah.
Fun. That's fantastic. And yeah, pretty long race course. I'm curious, what role does visualization play in your pre-race preparation?
I think, it's pretty big. And there's a lot of like, this track especially is super technical and there's a lot of different lines. So trying to just like mentally go through the whole track, feel the flow really helps. And it makes it easier, which is helpful on this track.
Yeah, great answer. Thanks for the insight there. One last question. What's the most creative way you've ever crashed in the Whistler Bike Park?
Crash. Oh my gosh. I actually don't really crash that much, but like the other day on the 1199 track, I had a huge crash in the last corner, just like right under the finish gate. It was pretty bad, but I don't know if I've had any creative ones, but.
That was pretty rough. Yeah, I'm so glad you're back on the bike. You're still riding. You're okay. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Good luck out there. We'll be cheering you on. Fantastic, guys. I'm here with Casey. Going to ask her a few short questions about the mental side of her riding. Casey, I'm curious, when you're preparing for a race or an event, what's your number one tip to prepare mentally?
I think it's all about just visualizing your line, and the first 3 moves that you're gonna do, I think is key, and then have a plan for the rest of it. But the first 3 moves kind of gets you into the flow of it, and if you can get those 3 things dialed in, then the rest is easy. So yeah, and then just some deep breaths and drop in.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love that approach. What's harder to manage for you when you are in a competitive setting? Confidence or fear?
I think it's a combination of both. It's like you gotta think about why you can do the thing that you're trying to do, and that's kind of what helps build your confidence. Is like looking at all the things you've done beforehand that are similar, and basically looking at all the things that you know you can do. And then the fear thing, I think it's just like all that stuff is so like human nature. You're going to be dealing with fear no matter how good you are at riding a bike. So I think it's just becoming a little closer with it and knowing that it's there for a good reason, and just to sort of become friends with it a little bit.
Yeah, I love that insight there. Thank you. One last question here, then we'll let you go back to the side end. If you could create a brand new discipline in mountain biking, what would it be and why?
I think like a discipline that would be just riding skinnies. We should definitely do that at Crankworx next year. Just skinnies.
Fantastic. The North Shore people are going to be stoked, but I think there's going to be lots of fear for everyone else.
Good. Bring it on.
I'm here with the man himself, Brett Tippie. Get the opportunity to interview the interviewer. Brett, I got 3 short questions for you.
Okay.
Number 1, what's your stance on calling the last lap of the day?
Oh, you don't call that. I'm not even going to say it. You don't say one more, or you don't say the last one. You just say another one, or do 2 more and not do the second one. Yeah, you never do that. I'm not really superstitious, but I am a little bit. I don't want to mess with it in case there is something going on. You don't mess with it. And I don't want to bring it upon myself or anybody else, so you just don't do it. It's easy enough to say, so don't do it.
You're a wise man. I thought you'd say that, but I just needed to check.
Right, yeah.
What does the term mental resilience mean for you?
Mental resilience is to be able to persevere through tough outcomes and tough situations, and to dig deep and to have a strong mindset of thinking positive and making it happen of what you want to make happen. It's like Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Such an insightful answer. Thank you. One last question here. Maybe thinking back to your free ride days, do you have any triggers or routines you would do right before you drop in for something really challenging?
Yes, I do have triggers that are not triggers, but like little things that I do right before I drop in is I do a bit of deep breaths. Get your pump, get some oxygen in your system. And I have certain people have different power words. Like Bender's power word was, before you do something crazy, was loopy-loo. Like before he did the jaw drops, that's what he said. Certain people do different things. My power words is nice, loud, and clear, so photographers and cinematographers get it, is 3, 2, 1. And I just say it nice and loud so they don't miss a shot. And just the 3, 2, 1 gets me into the mode of going for it, and the little light switch of yes or no. And that's it. So it's just kind of performance, and it's kind of mental, and that's what I use to get psyched to do something gnarly.
Super cool to hear, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
And if it's really windy, then I'll do like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just to make sure. Because if you go drop in, if there's wind or something, you might not hear a quick one shot drop in. You know what I mean? So if you do a 5, 4, and then like, oh my God, don't miss a shot, and then they get it rolling, you don't want to do something gnarly and have them miss a shot. So, you got 5 chances to hear it as opposed to one shot with like a drop in. Yeah, high performance.
Got it, man. That's the answer of a seasoned professional right there. Not only thinking about your run, but thinking about the photographer getting it as well.
Yeah, totally, exactly. Yeah, you all work together to get the content, get the goods.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks so much. I've got a bonus question for you.
Okay, bonus question.
If you could never wash your bike again or never take a shower again after a ride, which one would you choose?
Never wash my bike again.
That's the obvious answer.
Right, it's like my motto. They're called dirt bikes for a reason.
I'm sure your wife will thank you for that answer.
And you have to respect bacteria, on the other hand, because it's the only culture some people have.
Fantastic, man. Hey, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for the questions.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, check out their podcast. It's really cool, really fun.
Awesome, guys. I'm here with Jack today in the Da Vinci tent. Got 3 short questions for you, Jack.
Awesome.
First one here, nice and easy. What's your stance when you're riding Whistler Bike Park? What's your stance of calling the last lap of the day?
Just the same lap you've been riding all day. It's usually a dirt merchant A line, if you ask me.
That's a gnarly last lap. I love it.
Finish strong.
Yeah. Fantastic. When we talk about the term mental toughness, what does that mean for you?
That's a good question. I think just being able to compartmentalize your thoughts, like especially with racing, like being able to separate like maybe your emotions from your physical like side of like being an athlete and riding your bike, and not letting them like interfere too much with each other, and being able to like stay focused and lock in when it counts, and being level-headed and stuff definitely makes a difference.
Awesome, man. That's such a great answer.
Yeah.
One last question here. What's the last thing you'll do in terms of your pre-race routine? What's the last thing you'll do before you drop in for a race run?
Before I drop in, I usually do like 10, 15 push-ups, and then we line up in the gate. And I'm not too big on like the visualization, so I usually just like take like a bunch of deep breaths, and in the gate, stretching out my forearms on the grips, and then just you get your 30-second countdown, and you just stand up and get ready to go.
Awesome, dude. Sounds like a super polished routine. Hey, thanks, man.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Great to chat with you. I'm here with Georgia Astle. Georgia has had a massive week here at Crankworx. Georgia, I got 3 short questions with you. I'll start with an easy one. What's your stance on saying last lap of the day when you're riding here at Whistler Bike Park?
I mean, I'm definitely a 2 more skip the last, just because I don't want to be the guy to say last lap and then it doesn't go well.
Yeah, wise answer. And our friend Brett Tippie agreed with you. Exactly the same answer.
I don't want to be the guy.
Fantastic. When I say the words or the term mental resilience, what does that mean for you?
That's this guy. That's having crashes and getting back. That's like just having a tough day and pushing through. But I mean, I would say the biggest mental resilience guy I've ever met is Tom. So it's kind of cool sitting next to him.
So cool, hey? Last question here. What's the last thing you do in terms of your pre-race routine? What's the last thing you'll do before you drop in?
That's a good question. I feel like when I was racing a lot, it would always be that last little visualization, and then just like little 3 keywords for me is always like smooth, breathe, and pedal. Those are the things I have to say to myself before my race run as a reminder.
Yeah, that's some solid power words right there.
Yeah.
Awesome, Georgia. Thanks so much. What's up, guys? Just one more thing before you hit the trails. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to subscribe and don't be a stranger. I'd love to hear from you about any topics or any particular episodes that you enjoyed, and even about any guests that you'd like to hear me have on the show in the future. You can find me on Instagram at _mind_mountain. This podcast, mountain biking, and mindset are all things that are very close to my heart, so I feel super grateful to be able to share these conversations with you. So much love to you all for taking the time to listen. I'll see you next time.